I was in New York, and pilot season had begun, and this was the first script that came my way this year at pilot season. I, of course, was familiar with Max Muchnick and David Cohan's work, Will and Grace, and some other shows. I'd actually auditioned for them before. And when I saw this particular script, I immediately took a liking to it, and I immediately knew how to say the words. You know, like, sometimes you get scripts and you have to kind of figure out how to say the words, or you have to, like, imagine you're, I don't know, Ted Danson or Tom Selleck or something to say the words. And with this script, I didn't have to do that at all. I knew exactly how the words came out and how it was supposed to be done. So I went for it and put myself on tape in New York, and then got called out for a test, and from there I was lucky enough to get the job.
It was the exact same for me. I actually was far into pilot season by the time. I don't know. Maybe they were looking for Lewis's probably sooner than Wyatt. I was well into pilot season, and had just actually the week before had an audition for a sitcom, in which they had said that I was not funny enough for a sitcom, but I'd be good in a single camera. And then I thought, well, I'm going to prove them wrong. And literally the next comedy audition I had was for Partners, and I saw it was a character that I could kind of put a little twist on and have him be, well, it wasn't really a twist, but kind of a character I have in my wheelhouse is a character that's a little bit maybe slower, dim-witted, and very innocent. I was able to bring that to Wyatt, and I guess fit the part. Well, so far, because we've only done the pilot, the one episode, is Lewis getting into some kind of issue or trouble, or having something that he's worried about, and me trying to fix it maybe, or just make it better, or ease him,
subdue it,
subdue and support, and put out the fire maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Have some wise, sage words of advice that might not be so wise or sage, but I try.
My character's sort of the yapping chihuahua to his lazy cat. I'm constantly causing trouble and putting my foot in my mouth, and he has left his wily days behind, and he's become more of a mellow Zen master, and you know, we're still figuring out the characters. So a lot of this is is exciting, because we don't know who these guys are entirely, but we do know that they find their love in their differences. Lewis is extremely emotional. He makes crazy decisions. He leads with his heart and his gut, and that often gets him into trouble. And Wyatt is more grounded, and I think that they find their yin and yang like that. I was so excited when Joe Biden did that, and anybody who doesn't know what he's referring to Joe Biden, when Joe Biden trumped the president and came out in favor of gay marriage a few days before Obama. He cited Will and Grace as being something that did more for equal rights for gay people than anything else has ever done, which I think is absolutely correct. It sort of gave a face and a humanity to gay people that hadn't been given before. And to answer your question, this is my second gay character on TV. This is my second character on TV, and I think it's a responsibility. But now, what's great is it's becoming more and more common. And soon they'll just be called characters. They won't be called gay characters. But right now we've got so many on TV. There's great gay characters on Glee and Modern Family, of course, and Smash. And there's new shows coming out like The New Normal and Partners. And each of them will tackle their own issues. I think what's great about ours, and the responsibility we have, is that our show really is tackling the idea of the gay-straight bromance. At the center of our show, we have my character Lewis and David Krumholtz's character Joe, who are lifelong best friends. One's gay and one is straight, and we're going to see in this show something that's very true across the world, that gay men and straight men can be friends, which you don't really see on TV very often. And so I think our responsibility is to show the truth in that. And luckily, these characters are based on David Cohen and Max Muchnick, our creators, and they have years and years and years of gay-straight romance stories to tell from their personal life.
Well, we start in August, and no, we haven't heard murmurings of where the characters might be going or ideas, but I've read no script yet. They're rapidly writing them as we speak, probably.
I've heard a couple of ideas for a couple of episode ideas, and they sound very good. They sound very clever. It's not. I don't think it's going to be the old "I've got 2 dates to the prom" shtick. It's pretty. Max and David are the cleverest minds in the multi-camera genre, and they've got some great ideas already, and they have over 20 years they have over 20 years of business relationships to take ideas from, and even like 30 some odd years of friendship to pull from. So I think there'll be a lot of I think we'll have a lot of episodes that will have a backstory that we'll be privy to that you might not be, but
he does a lot in the pilot. He's great with that.
Brandon insisted on a fight choreographer.
Right. I didn't even have a fight, but I'm so used to it and everything I do. Just in case we have a fight. Yeah, I've actually done more fighting than physical comedy. So I'm looking forward to it. The challenge of it.
Yeah, I hope we do more and more. It's my favorite thing to do. We have a very funny yoga scene, and there's some great opportunities, and I'm sure they'll continue. I mean, that's what's great about a situational comedy is often the situations are physical, and that's what's great about a sitcom where you see things from a wider angle instead of in close-up. You can often get full body. Those are always my favorite scenes on Ugly Betty, where the wide shots where you could fall down or you could run into somebody. And I grew up watching things like Three's Company, and John Ritter was the master of that, and so I'll constantly be stealing from him. Yeah, it is. It's sort of like the best of both worlds. What I loved about doing Ugly Betty was getting to play a character who had new adventures every week. Because you do a play. I mean, I just closed a Broadway show last week, and I did almost 5 months, so that's like 150 performances of the same show every night, which is amazing in its own way. But with TV, you get to do something new every week. So this is like the best of both worlds. We get to do a new adventure every week, and there's an audience. And performing in front of an audience for an actor, at least for me, is the greatest. You get immediate satisfaction. They tell you, it's a dance. They tell you what they want, and you give them more. They tell you what they don't like, and you do less of that. And so this is my first experience doing something in front of a live studio audience, a show in front of a live studio audience, and it certainly felt like a fish in water, because it had all the great spontaneity of the stage, but with the creativity of television, which is great.
Which Broadway show?
I just closed in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, which ironically was, you like that? Which ironically was written by, the music was written by Frank Lesser, but the book was written by Abe Burrows, whose son is the late Abe Burrows, whose son is James Burrows, Father Television, who directed our pilot and will be directing all of our episodes. He'll be our house director on Partners. So it was amazing. I actually had to take a leave from How to Succeed to go and shoot the pilot of Partners, and I was leaving one Burrows for another. But it's an amazing, it's
the New York Burrows.
Yeah.
Outside the city.
Good one, punny. But that comic sensibility is you feel it with James Burrows. That same comic. I mean, the jokes in How to Succeed are 50 years old, but they're still hilarious. And you just know, like, that kind of comedy is timeless. It's still hilarious. Well, I'm absolutely a sitcom person. I was obsessed with them when I was a kid. I would watch shows like, I mean, old shows like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Tyler Moore on Nick at Night, or when I was a kid, shows like Who's the Boss, yep. And TGIF. Remember TGIF? Yes. All those shows were really big for me. Of course, Cheers. And actually, I remember after my sister moved away, family dinner became less and less around a table and more at the bar watching TV. And there were many nights where my mom and dad and I would watch Seinfeld and just laugh our asses off together. And that was one of the things that really, like, to this day, we can reference Seinfeld episodes together.
I remember, I think Seinfeld started when I was in 7th or 8th grade. I don't know. I had to take this a word processing class. It was during the summer. It was weird. I don't really understand the timeline, but I had to take this word processing class anyway. It was a nighttime class that I did. I don't know why. And I was so infuriated because I had to miss Seinfeld to go to this stupid class, but I can type pretty well now, so I guess it's okay. But I love, Family Ties and Growing Pains, Webster, Growing Up Mr. Belvedere.
Oh yeah.
And Golden Girls with my grandma later, we used to watch all the time. And Friends, I always liked Friends.
Oh, Friends is great. Will and Grace, of course.
I didn't watch as much of Will and Grace, even though I was on it once. But I still love David and Max.
I don't know. I have heard nothing about that. That would be awesome. I'm sure I know everybody from Ugly Betty would love to do an Ugly Betty movie. But I have not heard anything about that. Unfortunately, we had a bit of a crash and burn over at ABC at the end there, which I think might have spoiled any chance of that. But you never know. I mean, it took like, what, 10 years for the Arrested Development movie to get going, so maybe we will. I think it would be cool. I think it could work. Or maybe a musical, Broadway musical.